Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking in. My name is Pellet-The-Cat, but you could call me Pellet to save time. For those who don't know me, I am an aspiring amateur artist who's trying to get into a good art school so I can hopefully make a living out of the work I do. But for now, I still got a long way to go until then. So for now, I'm gonna try to build my skills up and have fun with what I have. As some of you may know from a lot of my earlier content, I am a huge fan of the Ninja Turtles and absolutely love seeing those 4 dummies in action in so many variations. Well, not all of them. But that's not what I want to focus on. Even though my eyes bleed every time I look at the Next Mutation's designs for costumes, it would make this video 10 times longer than it needs to be if I focus solely on these things. And that would mean I'd be subjecting myself to this eyesore. The main one I want to focus on is TMNT 2012. And it's such a fresh breeze of nostalgia. Even now, I still look back at a lot of these designs fondly, and I think of how so many creative people came together to make such awesome designs. However, every awesome batch has its fair group of oddballs. I do have a handful of designs that I'm not particularly a fan of, but the one that sticks out the most like a sore thumb is none other than Miss O'Neill herself. Ew. God, how do I even start this? Why are her forearms so long? What is with the arm wraps? Why are her feet shaped like horse hooves? What is with these shorts? Why did they have to outline her curves so much? It's just, ugh. A lot of it just looks really out of place. I think I can understand with how teens were portrayed back in the early 2000s, but yet again, those teens were being played by literal adults just for their sex appeal. Honestly, that was even an issue before the 2000s. Anyway, to me, it just feels like the writers were trying to make her look like an adult and forgot to keep the teenage aspect in mind. Now for the $1,000,000 question: how am I going to redesign her? Well, one thing's for sure, I'm getting rid of the overly glorified sex appeal to her design, which means none of the tight clothes that outline her, adult-esque, features. I think I can understand from an animator's perspective, with the tight clothes making it easier to animate the character rigs and having it be less time-consuming, but when you look at other characters like Casey, he has big baggy clothes that have a lot more folds to them. The argument kind of falls flat, so yeah. Second thing's for sure, I want to bring in more of the teenage aspect to her design. Like, someone you can actually see being a teenager and not a woman in her late 20s having a midlife crisis. But while keeping that in mind, I also want her to stand out from the crowd, being one of the main characters and all. And since we see in the show that she doesn't really have any other friends outside the Turtles, feels like it would make for a fun idea to make her into someone who doesn't exactly fit in with the rest of her class. So she's one of those kids you'd find at the back of the class. And it doesn't necessarily mean that she's closed off or anything, considering that is definitely not her character. I'm thinking a lot more like a Katie Mitchell from The Mitchells vs. the Machines. A spunky, outgoing person that just hasn't found her people. There is definitely a lot more I want to go over, but I'll go over them when we go to the actual redesign. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started, I am not claiming myself to be a superior designer or artist than the team behind this series. This video and this redesign is mostly just to critique and give my thoughts and opinions on what did and didn't work and how I designed this character. If you prefer the original design over my interpretation, I'm happy that you could like this design while I personally couldn't. All this is just my little opinions that can be buried beneath the sand. Anywho, without further ado, let's talk about my redesign. I want to say for April being a gender, she really lacks a lot of the features for some reason. I mean, she does have the hair and the freckles, but her hair looks a lot more like she took an orange highlighter to her hair, and I honestly didn't know about her freckles until the wiki pointed them out. Which is such a letdown, since I've always found the whole gender look to be really cool, from the amount of freckles that would just cover their skin or how fluffy and curly their hair is. The fact that they didn't go all out on those features just really annoys me. So In her redesign, I decided to make her hair a lot more pronounced with giving it more of a fluffy and curly style to give it more definition. I also got rid of her bangs and replaced them with 2 strands of hair that show where her hair separates. You know, the line on the head kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I also went ahead and gave her the type of freckles that would just cover her entire face to kind of distinct herself from the cast, since both her and Mikey have kind of similar freckles, you know, just under the eyes and not really so pronounced per se. I mean, Mikey's is more pronounced than April's, but you get the point. It isn't that big of a deal, I just thought it would be a very cool idea, since I saw Genji Ninja WO, aka June, do that for their Genjinka Flareon. I just found it so fucking cool. You should totally go check out their content, by the way. It is so fucking good. Another thing I did differently was her body shape, as you can see from the sketch. I gave her more of a wider waist shape since I feel like it would make it as a good nod to how she's not as in shape as the turtles, and further along in the series, as she's trying to be a ninja, she can get a more of an athletic body type by the end of the series. Nothing too skinny per se, but she would basically have more of a show of muscles per se, because we like our buff girls. We deserve more of that representation. It's just a way of showing her how far she's come in the progress that she made with becoming Kuno Weech. And I know that you won't see it since she's going to have a baggy shirt over top, but I'll give my reason in this next section of the video, her attire. Okay, finished the sketch and overall I'm super happy, but coming next will be the line art hell, so let me just there we go. We cool? Coolio. So while I was doing my research on her, I found that April was originally going to have this kind of punk aesthetic to her design, and I saw on for how a lot of people were really upset and that it didn't make the final cut, but to me, frankly, I think by making her more punk theme, it wouldn't be too fitting to her character per se. And plus, we already got enough punk from Case and Cry. Let's just stop with punk for now. It ain't dead, just getting put to sleep, okay? Okay. So when looking at her wiki, I found that she apparently is supposed to have an indie rock theme, which like, huh? How is she? Her outfit doesn't match at all with indie rock. Look, I love indie rock and the overall aesthetic. While being somewhat bleak, it's very pleasing to look at. However, when comparing her outfit to the examples that I've found, it doesn't exactly scream indie to me, since the indie style mostly revolves around relaxed and comfy clothing that doesn't draw too much attention, but still makes you stand out. If that even makes sense. So for her clothing, I didn't change much shirt-wise, since I felt like I could make it work. So I only really made them more loose-fitting and a lot bigger on her, because maybe it could be a hand-me-down from her dad, and it could be a way to make her feel more close to her dad after he was kidnapped by the Krang. And since I made it bigger on her, I made it so that the ends of her shirt are tucked into her pants and fastened tightly by her belts. Because, like, maybe it could be a way she can be hiding her body shape, because she feels really insecure about it. Further stemming into her insecurities and going more in depth onto her character. I then went on to change her shorts into ripped jeans and got rid of her leggings since, well, I feel like this combo is a very odd choice. No offense to anyone who likes this, I don't see the appeal. And I also added in the patches on her pants to add a little extra flair. Going into her feet, I really didn't like how her boots made her feet look like horse hooves, so I gave her yellow chucks, which I debated on making brown since I wasn't so sure on the yellow, but in the end, I liked the yellow more, so I stuck with it. However, I didn't let the brown go to waste. As you can see, I gave her a beanie as a replacement for her headband. While looking at references and ideas of other redesigns that people have tried for April, I saw at Munchkin in a witch's take on their design, and saw that they gave her a beanie, and I was like, if I don't give her a beanie, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my days. Also, you should totally check out their stuff. Their art is so good. And I think that would just about wrap up this video. I hope you guys like it and this redesign, and please let me know if I should keep making more videos like this. And if anyone has any critiques on how to make my designs or videos better, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Anyhow, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Later, dudes!